is the right one, and now of course we will be starting immediately on the new package, and also together with France and Germany, obviously. I think what doesn't work with Putin is really, trying to put an ultimatum out there, because he doesn't react to such ones. We just need to continue with the pressure, also realizing that obviously Russian aggression didn't start in Ukraine and it doesn't end with Ukraine. Our analysis, which we share in NATO, is that Russia will be forming a long-term strategic threat to the entire alliance. So therefore, we need to be keeping up the pressure for as long as we have evidence of Russia not only discontinuing its war in Ukraine, but also adhering to international law, which unfortunately it hasn't been doing for quite some time.
There were big expectations for this week and international diplomacy taking place in Turkey, and now all seems to fall apart with Putin not attending, Trump not attending either. So what can we really expect from the Istanbul talks today?
Well, to be quite honest, I'm not expecting much. The reason is that Russia has not come one step forward. They are still sticking to their maximalist goals, which is to essentially extinguish Ukraine, and we can't have that. So I guess this serves for the purpose to discussing whether there was, any chance for a 30-day ceasefire, which I think is the requirement for having genuine peace talks, because then also we need these confidence-building measures. For instance, Russia to release their civilian detainees, and especially those deported children. So that would be the first step of them showing, yes, guys, we would be willing to engage in peace. Thank you so very much. Have a good day.
Good morning. A huge thanks to Hakan, the people of Turkey, the people of Antalya for being gracious hosts to this foreign ministerial. It's a very important event for us because it's the last, even though informal, but the last meeting of foreign ministers before the upcoming Hague summit, where we will have to show a very clear commitment to adapting the alliance to the necessities of the current geopolitical and security challenges that we have. It is about the challenges that we have. It is about the collective deterrence that we have to establish. It is about investments in our industrial base, widening our defense budgets. And I think the momentum that we have in the discussion is going in a very positive dynamic, is moving in the right direction. And in that sense, we remain optimistic, very optimistic about the role of the alliance, considering the security challenges that we have commonly. Thank you.
Hello, good morning. You can take this right one, please.
Yes, morning everyone. So as we are heading to the Hague summit, we have the clear priorities in front of us. That is the NATO that is stronger, more ready, and more lethal. That's what we are committed to, and that's what we want to see in the Hague summit, and once again to reaffirm that we are ready, we are prepared, and we are united. And also once again to reaffirm that our transatlantic bond is the absolute cornerstone of transatlantic security and of NATO. For Lithuania, there are three priorities. Number one, this is the defense spending. We have to increase defense spending in NATO because we made too many pledges to be better prepared, to be ready, to be with the better plans. Now we have to fulfill it with the defense investment. From Lithuania's perspective, 5%, this is doable, and we have to achieve it faster than the 2032, because we see the very tempo and the speed how Russia generates its forces now as we speak. So we have to do the same. From Lithuania side, we are number 2 this year with 4% of GDP for the defense spending. Next year, we are heading to be the number 1 with 5.25%. And our answer is it is doable. You need political will, so some of the financial planning, but it is doable because there is a lot at stake for us. This is the European security and stability. Number 2, Russia. We have to fulfill our plans and our pledges that we already stated in the previous summits, in Washington and in the Vilnius summit. So this is now time to implement. As we see, Putin's strategy doesn't change. He looks for distraction, deceive, and also the delay of any proper process for the peace. We are strongly supporting the position of Ukraine, of US, and of our European allies to go for the ceasefire for at least 30 days. This is how we should proceed. And number 3, lastly, that is Ukraine. We understand that the strong armed forces of Ukraine will be the first defense line. That's why we have to support them. And we want to see the new support pledge for Ukrainian armed forces in the Hague summit. And once again, the NATO membership is the best option to secure not only Ukraine, but also Europe. So we want it to be reconfirmed as it was previously and reiterated as it was previously done in the Washington summit. Thank you.
Hello and good morning again. I will make a short statement in English and then I will take you questions. Is it okay? Amid tremendous crises around the world, it's time that the world just revisits the international security architecture. It's a very critical time, and I think it's important to work jointly on enhancing collective defense capabilities. Greece stands in favor of increasing the defense spending and defense capabilities. We need to address collectively and to synchronize the footage between the United States and the European Union in order to have an effective transatlantic defense against all type of contemporary asymmetries. Εν μέσω πολλαπλών κρίσεων, εν μέσω πολέμων οι οποίοι διαρκούν και πλήττουν την διεθνή συνοχή, εν μέσω ασύμετρων κρίσεων, εν μέσω κλιματικής κρίσης και εν μέσω υβριδικών απειλών, είναι χρόνος να επαναθεωρήσουμε τη βάση πάνω στην οποία έχει δημιουργηθεί η διεθνής αρχιτεκτονική ασφαλείας. Αυτό θα συζητήσουμε. Η Ελλάδα είναι υπέρ της ενίσχυσης της συλλογικής αμυντικής δυνατότητας και του συγχρονισμού του βήματος μεταξύ της Ευρωπαϊκής Ένωσης και του ΝΑΤΟ. Μόνο εργαζόμενοι μέσα από σύγχρονα βήματα, μέσα από κοινές δυνατότητες, μέσω διευρυμένων αμυντικών συστημάτων θα μπορέσουμε να αντιμετωπίσουμε την παγκόσμια κρίση η οποία αυτή τη στιγμή βρίσκεται σε εξέλιξη, κάθε μέρα και μια καινούρια εστία έντασης. Θα πρέπει...
Couple of days in the Middle East. You are really making progress. I think this is important. This shows American leadership not only on Ukraine, where it was the new American administration breaking the deadlock under the leadership of President Trump, but also now when it comes to the Middle East and of course all the other issues in the world, we collectively have to make sure stay stable and we need American leadership and you're providing that. Today will very much be about the summit in The Hague, and it is first of all ramping up defense spending in Canada and Europe. Nations are committed to that. We will have a debate on all the details, but this is really important because we have the ongoing Russian threat. We have the Chinese built up massively at the moment militarily, and of course the terrorism, the terrorist threat, which is still ongoing. But we also have to ramp up the defense industry because with only money we are not there. We also need the defense industrial output to make sure that we can fight off any threat to NATO territory. And of course we'll discuss Ukraine, how to make sure that we bring Ukraine to a lasting and durable peace. Again, welcome and thank you for your personal leadership on all of this, Marco.
Thank you, and I think today's meeting sets up what I hope will be, I believe, will be a very successful leaders level meeting coming up very shortly. NATO has the opportunity to grow even stronger in the alliance. You know, the alliance is only as strong as its weakest link, and we intend and endeavor to have no weak links in this alliance. So it's setting up nicely, and it's good to see. You know, the president has just submitted a budget for $1 trillion of defense spending, which is unheard of, it's unparalleled. And it's not just spending money, it's spending money on the capabilities that are needed for the threats of the 21st century. All kinds of different threats that look different from the threats in the past. And so I think today sets up that leaders meeting, which will be very productive. I also think, obviously, that the big issue on everyone's mind is what's happening with Russia and Ukraine. The President of the United States has been abundantly clear he wants the war to end. He's open to virtually any mechanism that gets us to a just, enduring, and lasting peace. And that's what he wants to see. He wants to see an end to wars. He wants to keep wars from happening. The purpose of NATO is to prevent wars through its strength. And that's why, you know, we want to see it grow stronger. Spending levels among all partners that allow everyone to be stronger and makes the alliance stronger. And also he wants to end wars. And that's the hope with Russia and Ukraine. We'll see what happens over the next couple of days in that regard, but we want to see progress made in that regard, and whatever mechanism is outlined, whatever the process is that needs to happen, I mean, we are open to being constructive and helpful in any way we can to end a conflict. I will say this, and I'll repeat it, that there is no military solution to the Russia-Ukraine conflict. This war is going to end not through a military solution, but through a diplomatic one. And the sooner an agreement can be reached on ending this war, the less people will die and the less destruction there will be. And ultimately, that's what the president's goal is. He wants, as you've seen through his trip that is currently underway in the Middle East, and he talked about in his speech a couple days ago, I hope you had a chance to watch it. It was a very good speech. It was an important speech. And what it marks is when he's interested in building things, not destroying. He wants economies and countries focused on building things, making things, providing opportunity and prosperity for its people. And he's against all the things that keep that from happening, like wars, like terrorism, and all the instability that comes with that. That's why he's made a bold decision when it comes to Syria, and in the hope that the new authorities there will take this opportunity to rebuild that country and provide and take it from being a source of instability to a source of stability. And that's why he wants to see the war in Ukraine end, because there are people suffering, there are things being destroyed, there are lives being upended. There are millions of Ukrainians that live outside of their borders in their country right now. And the world the president wants to see is one in which people can come back home and begin to rebuild their country and spend their time focused on how to build the economy, not how to fight a war. But obviously we're in a very difficult spot right now, and we hope that we can find the steps forward that provide for the end of this war in a negotiated way and the prevention of any war in the future as a result, meaning a peace that's going to ensure not just that this war ends, but also prevents a new one from starting at some point down the road. So a lot of work. We remain committed to that. Obviously, like everyone else, impatient. We want to see it happen, and but it's difficult. But you know, hopefully, progress will be made here soon. Thank you
so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
What kind of progress do you expect?
Keine ernsthaften Verhandlungen, und das wird Folgen haben. Es gibt eine große Entschlossenheit in Europa, dann auch über weitere Sanktionen zu entscheiden. Und ich gehe auch davon aus, dass auch in den Vereinigten Staaten von Amerika darüber nachgedacht wird. Deshalb, es ist nie zu spät, an den Verhandlungstisch zu kommen. Die dringende Aufforderung heute ist an Russland, die Situation zu überdenken und die Initiative des amerikanischen Präsidenten positiv aufzugreifen, jetzt zu Verhandlungen zu kommen.
Herr Außenminister, Sie haben es angesprochen, Sanktionen müssen innerhalb von wenigen Tagen kommen, oder wie viel Zeit hat man da noch? Und hatten Sie den Eindruck aus dem Gespräch mit Herrn Rubio, dass die Amerikaner ebenfalls bereit sind, mit dem Westen an einen Rand zu ziehen, mit Europa an einen Rand zu ziehen? Und eine kleine Ergänzungsfrage, sind die Amerikaner einverstanden mit dem, was Sie vorgeschlagen haben, was das Spending angeht, zu den Verteidigungsausgaben? Also wenn die Amerikaner
Die Amerikaner sind sehr zufrieden mit dem, was Deutschland leistet. Ich habe gesagt, dass wir bereit sind, in eine Führungsrolle in Europa zu gehen, Vorbild zu sein und andere aufzufordern, uns zu folgen. Da gibt es eine völlige Übereinstimmung mit den Vereinigten Staaten von Amerika. Und das gilt auch jetzt für die Frage, was Sanktionen angeht. Ja, es gibt eine starke Bewegung, das wissen Sie, im amerikanischen Senat, wo viele Senatorinnen und Senatoren sich bereit erklärt haben, auch ein Sanktionsgesetz zu erlassen. Und die amerikanische Administration geht davon aus, dass das geschehen wird, wenn Russland sich nicht bewegt. Insofern
die USA und Europa lesen vom selben Blatt. Ich glaube, das ist ein Vorschlag, der abgestimmt ist, der auch mit der amerikanischen Seite abgestimmt ist oder vorabgestimmt ist. Wir werden darüber heute natürlich noch einmal beraten. Aber man sollte das Ergebnis sehen. Und das Ergebnis sind in der Tat die 5%, die Präsident Trump gefordert hat, die er für notwendig hält. Und wir folgen ihm da. Und wir sehen darin ein klares Bekenntnis der Vereinigten Staaten von Amerika zu Artikel 5. Die NATO steht eng zusammen. Und jeder muss wissen, dieses Verteidigungsbündnis ist durch diesen beklagenswerten Krieg stärker geworden und steht enger zusammen als je zuvor. Herzlichen Dank.
It's very important to be here in Turkey at this time with the Euro-Atlantic community coming together in such extensive numbers, representing the greatest alliance in history, frankly. And we come with one single message: to stand by Ukraine and to ensure that we get a just and lasting, enduring peace. And the readiness for that peace is demonstrated by President Zelensky being here in Turkey as well. And of course, we watch closely as we head to these talks, noting the Russian low-level individuals who are coming to represent the Russian side. It's hugely important that we redouble our efforts across the Euro-Atlantic to recommit to defence spending. It was back in 2014 in Wales that we made the 2% pledge, and I'm delighted that the UK met that pledge right throughout this modern history. But of course, it's now right that we step up that commitment. You saw that with Prime Minister Starmer making clear that we would meet 2.5% by 2027, and heading in to the next Parliament, we would get to 3%. This alliance, all of us were committing far more during the Cold War. It's hugely important that we recommit to Europe's defences and that we step up alongside our US partners in this challenging geopolitical moment where there are so many pressures across the world, and particularly in the Indo-Pacific. I look forward to speaking to European foreign ministers today as we make that pledge to ensure that right across the Euro-Atlantic areas, our people are safe, there is enduring peace, and that we stand on the shoulders of those who committed to our security, as of course we recall victory in Europe 80 years ago. Thank you very much indeed.
DRT, 2 doorsteps.
Nous sommes ce matin en Turquie et l'Ukraine a tenu sa parole. Volodymyr Zelensky est présent avec ses conseillers, avec son ministre avec lequel je me suis entretenu à l'instant pour négocier la paix. Mais face à eux se trouve une chaise vide, la chaise sur laquelle devait s'asseoir Vladimir Poutine. Vladimir Poutine qui traîne les pieds et qui, de toute évidence, n'a pas envie d'entrer dans ces négociations de paix, alors même que le président Trump a marqué sa disponibilité et sa volonté de faciliter ces discussions. Alors bien sûr, aujourd'hui, une équipe technique diligentée par Vladimir Poutine se rendra en Turquie où elle rencontrera une équipe ukrainienne. Mais c'est une manière pour la Russie d'éviter les sanctions massives que les États-Unis et les Européens s'apprêtent à infliger à la Russie sur le plan énergétique et sur le plan financier pour contraindre Vladimir Poutine à mettre fin à sa guerre d'agression contre l'Ukraine. De ces discussions techniques qui vont se tenir ici en Turquie, nous pouvons espérer obtenir un cessez-le-feu sans condition, immédiat, qui permette l'ouverture de négociations. Mais ce que nous voulons éviter, c'est de retomber dans les 3 pièges qui ont conduit les négociations qui se tenaient à Istanbul en 2022 à l'échec. Le premier de ces pièges, c'est que des discussions se tiennent sans un cessez-le-feu, parce qu'on ne négocie pas sous les bombes. Et en 2022, c'est notamment le massacre de Boutcha, perpétré par la Russie, qui a conduit ces négociations à échouer. Le deuxième des pièges, c'est de vouloir imposer à l'Ukraine une démilitarisation, c'est-à-dire de priver l'Ukraine par avance des garanties de sécurité qui permettraient à la paix d'être véritablement durable. Et puis le troisième piège dans lequel il ne faudrait pas tomber une deuxième fois, c'est celui qui consiste à vouloir lever les sanctions au début des négociations plutôt qu'à la fin. Et donc nous, les Européens, nous voulons accompagner l'Ukraine dans ces négociations de paix, puisque nous voulons la paix, mais nous nous préparons aussi, avec des sanctions qui seraient massives, à contraindre Vladimir Poutine à initier ces négociations de paix s'il continuait à les esquiver. We are today in Turkey, where Ukraine has held its words. President Zelensky is present with its counselors, with his minister, with whom I met a few minutes ago. But in the face of Ukraine, there is an empty chair. The chair that was awaiting Vladimir Putin, despite of the fact that President Trump has expressed its availability, its willingness to facilitate discussions between Ukraine and Russia. Of course, there will be a technical team sent by Vladimir Putin to discuss with the Ukrainian team today in Turkey. Because, of course, Russia is willing to avoid the massive sanctions on oil, on the financial sector, that the US and that Europeans are preparing in the instance where Russia would keep refusing to cease fire. But the best we can hope for in these technical discussions is indeed a ceasefire, an immediate, unconditional ceasefire that would allow for proper peace negotiation. And what we want to avoid at all costs from those discussions that are going to start in Istanbul is for us collectively to fall in the 3 traps that led the previous discussions 3 years ago to failure. The first trap is to discuss or to hold talks while bombs are falling on Ukraine. Because last time, the Bucha massacre that happened during those negotiations led to their failure. The second trap is to try to impose the demilitarization of Ukraine and to prevent Ukraine from seeking credible security guarantees from its partners after the war. This would lead those discussions to failure because there can be no lasting peace without credible security guarantees. The third trap is to front-load sanction lifting rather than backloading. This again led to the failure of the Istanbul negotiation 3 years ago. As far as we're concerned, Europeans are united. They demonstrated it last weekend in Kyiv. We're supporting Ukrainian efforts to enter those peace negotiations, and we're preparing for massive sanctions on oil and financial sector in the instance where Vladimir Putin would keep avoiding such discussions. Thank you very much.
morning, everybody. First of all, I want to announce yesterday Italy achieved the 2% of our GDP for security defense. The document is on the table of Mr. Rutte. The Prime Minister will announce officially this result during the Den Haag meeting. This is a clear and important message to our friends of NATO. It's a clear message to the Americans. We are ready for doing more for our security in the next years.
Minister, what do you expect from the negotiation talks in Istanbul today on the lower level?
You have another question? I want to be optimistic, but I don't know if Russia wants to achieve this goal. Probably Russia wants to move on with the war in the next month because it's difficult for Putin to change his organization. There are 1 million of soldiers paid more than the workers in Russia. The Russian industry is involved in defense. For this, for Putin, we need more time. But this is his job. We want peace, peace with justice. We need to protect Ukraine. We need to respect the international law. Today's meeting is a first step. But we need more Russian engagement for achieving ceasefire before and peace after. Our job after the peace is to protect Ukraine, to protect Europe from Ukraine to Portugal. But we are working hard for peace, but we need concrete actions by the Russians.
Minister, today Italy is reaching the 2%.
Yes.
But the discussion today is about 5%. Is Italy ready for this enormous investment? And do you think that the EU has to step up to help member states to reach this new investment?
We are in favor, but we need time. We need to debate on this, but it's important to respect our engagement on the 2%. This is the first step. Then it's possible to do more. It's possible to increase the money for defense. I prefer to talk on security, because security is not only weapons. It's the protection of every European citizen, every Italian citizen. For this, we are ready for talking on this, but we are in favor the strongest pillar, of the second pillar of the NATO. There is a big pillar, this American pillar. Now we need to work hard for a biggest pillar, European pillar. We need to do more. We want to move on in this direction. We need time, of course, but I think we need the European defense for security. But security is a concept more important than defense. Defense is part of the security. For this, we are ready for doing more. It's also, security is also infrastructure, cyber security, not only weapons. Security is the protection against terrorism, against cyber attack. For this, we need to talk on this, but we are ready for the protection of our citizens, Italian citizens, European citizens. I believe in Europe, I believe in European defense.
How do you consider the agreements between Turkish companies and Italian aerospace companies? Do we see more this kind of agreement?
The relations between Italy and Turkey are very, very positive. 2 days ago, a long call between President Erdogan and Prime Minister Meloni, but from the Berlusconi government, the link between Italy and Turkey has been very, very positive in every sector. We are part of NATO. We are Mediterraneans. For us, it's important to work together in the Mediterranean Sea. First of all, we need to look at Libya. Yesterday, I have spoken with the Minister for Foreign Affairs on this. I am concerned for the situation in Libya. Now, probably there is a ceasefire, but we need to look also at the south. For this, Turkey will be very, very important. We are ready for doing more with Turkey in many, many sectors, also in defense sector. Absolutely, because I think it's important to back the European defense in the industrial defense. When I was commissioner, I worked with Commissioner Barnier. At this time, I was commissioner for industry, and Barnier was commissioner for internal market. We approved, we proposed to the commission. The commission approved our proposal for a European defense strategy. But I think we need to be open for a cooperation with countries, NATO countries, for example, America, Turkey, UK, but also with Japan. We are working, for example, as Italy, for aircraft, Italy, UK, Japan. This not only Europe is important, I agree, but we need to be open for cooperation with other countries, friends of us, underline Turkey, USA, Japan, and UK, of course.
Minister, we are now in the adoption phase of the 7th sanctions package already, and Putin doesn't seem to be any closer to negotiations. So what kind of stronger sanctions would there still be to get?
As you know, the sanctions are not, for us, Italian sanctions are European sanctions. It's impossible to decide alone. But we are in favor. If Putin wants to move on in the same direction, we need other sanctions, so we are in favor of this. Okay? I have the family photo. I'm sorry.
Nasıl? 4700 mü verdi sana? Değil mi? Gayet.
back, sir.
Yes, not on the stages.
seconds straight in front of you. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Good morning. Good morning to all of you, and I really want to welcome you to Antalya for this important Foreign Ministers meeting, and I want to thank our colleague from Turkey. Really, Hakan, thank you so much for making this possible, and the hospitality, it is really amazing. We will have a very important meeting today in the run-up to the summit in The Hague. We need to discuss how to make sure that NATO will be stronger. That means more defense spending. It means more defense industrial production. But also how to make sure that NATO is fairer, that we equally distribute the burden amongst allies, and that is only fair. But also a NATO which is more lethal, not by becoming offensive, but by being so strong that nobody will ever attack us, because they know if they would, this defensive alliance, if we will be attacked, our reaction will be devastating. That's what we will discuss today, how to make sure that we make a success out of the The Hague summit. It will be a splash of a NATO which is standing there at the world stage, stronger than ever. So again, thank you for being here, and now it is my honor to give the floor to our colleague from Turkey. Hakan, please, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mark. And it's a great pleasure to host you all in Ankara, and welcome again. This is one of the last high-level meetings before our summit in The Hague next month, as you know. And the Euro-Atlantic area suffers from multiple crises and conflicts. Therefore, this meeting will be an occasion to demonstrate our continued unity and solidarity. Issues like transatlantic burden sharing and defense industrial cooperation are also high on our agenda. In this regard, we wholeheartedly support Secretary General's vision of alliance-wide defense industrial base, in his words, from Texas to Ankara. These are among the most critical enablers in shaping the future of European security architecture. Of course, our efforts to bring the war in Ukraine to a just and durable end will be an important part of our discussions. You all know that Turkey has always stressed the need for a diplomatic track to this end. Now, after 3 years of immense suffering, there is finally a window of opportunity. The talks in Istanbul hopefully may open a new chapter. Our meeting today will be an important occasion to discuss how we can individually and collectively support this process. On the other hand, our southern neighborhood and the Balkans are also an important part of NATO's 360 degrees approach to Euro-Atlantic security. We will also reflect on what we can do as allies to deepen our partnerships from the Middle East to Africa and Asia-Pacific to enhance stability. Finally, terrorism continues to pose a grave threat to the security of all allies. We will also discuss how best we can strengthen our solidarity against this scourge with concrete steps. In short, NATO as the backbone of Euro-Atlantic security and defense, will continue to be the essential transatlantic forum to consult, coordinate, and act on all security matters among allies. We have no doubt that our meeting today and the Hague Summit next month will reinforce this indispensable character of our alliance. On our part, as Turkey, in addition to today's meeting, the fact that we will also host the next summit in 2026 demonstrates our steadfast commitment to the alliance and what it stands for. Once again, welcome to Antalya for this important meeting, and I look forward to our discussions under the able leadership and moderation of the Secretary General, Mark Rutte. Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks a lot. That ends the public part of our meeting. It ends the public part of our meeting. So in the spirit of democracy, I have to ask the press gently to leave the room. But there will be press conferences after this meeting, no doubt, of many of us, so you will get a full readout.